Hi, with the impact of coronavirus, we are still in this online mode of education, and whether we like it or not, we have to try and adjust with this new system of education. And looking at the current situation, it is not likely that we will be in our classroom anytime soon. It will, I think, probably take still a lot of time for us to be back in the classroom. I know most of you are struggling, and it's not easy to adapt with a system like this all of a sudden. But whether we like it or not, we have to sometimes adjust with the current situation and just go about with all our activities, because if we leave it aside now, it will be too late for us to be back on track. So what you can do now is try to understand what your teachers are sharing every day, every week, and with that, somehow if you keep following it, you will not be left behind. And that is the only solution, that is the only option for you as well as for us. If you try to just leave it all behind, and if you don't keep track of it, it will be too late for you. So what I want to sincerely advise you is, do not lose track of your studies, and somehow just read your books from time to time. It's not like you need to read all the books all the time, but just sometimes look at your books and try to work on the exercises as well. Read books, write something, improve your writing skills. That way you'll be able to understand, or you'll be able to keep track of what is going on. And when the classes are back on full swing, you will not be left behind, or you'll be able to grasp it without much difficulties. So that is something which I want to tell you before we start our classes. In this lesson, we will be looking at the story The Ransom of Red Chief, which is written by O. Henry. This story is quite ironical. The Ransom of Red Chief. Have you ever watched the movie kind of like this Rush Hours? The Jackie Chan films, Rush Hour 1 or 2, where there is this whole interplay of kidnapping. So a child is kidnapped, and then these thugs, they demand money. That way they will release the child and stuff like that. But ironically, what is so funny, or what is so interesting about this chapter, The Ransom of Red Chief, is this boy who was kidnapped actually loved to be with the kidnappers. He did not want to go home. He wanted to be with the kidnappers all throughout the story. He had so much fun with the kidnappers, with his kidnappers. And that is something which is so funny and which is so ironic. So there's this twist, a big twist, in the sense that the boy did not want to go home. He wanted to be with his kidnappers because he was having so much fun, and that is the ironical part of the story. The pattern, as suggested, is like the story is essentially ironic, in the sense that even the name of the village, Summit, if we look at it, we imagine it to be like a bit mountainous and all this, but it is plain. It is not mountainous, it is just plain. And what I can also see, or what I find it quite interesting, is the word summit. It can also have a double meaning, in the sense that submit, submit. Because when I look at the story and read the attitude of the boy who has been kidnapped, Ebenezer Dorset, he did not submit to the plea or to the demand of the kidnappers. He did not submit. Instead, he gave a new proposal where the kidnappers had to actually pay the money instead of the boy's father, Ebenezer Dorset, paying the money. What I find it a bit, again, interesting, or this double interplay of meaning, is Ebenezer Dorset is not willing to submit to the command of the kidnappers. So submit, and then again another meaning is submit. It is not actually plain. I'm sorry. It is not actually mountainous or just hilly or stuff like that. It is just plain. That is the which is again perfectly flat, plain. It is not mountainous, and so that is how the story starts. And right from the outset, there is this interplay of irony right from the start itself. Let's look at the it looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. The opening sentence. It looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. The story is written in the form of a first-person narrative, and it is narrated by Sam. He is also one of the kidnappers. Sam and Bill. So these are the two kidnappers. So Sam started with the first sentence. He is the one who narrates the story. It looks like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. It looked like a good thing. What he's trying to say here is the idea of kidnapping and demanding a ransom looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. So here it is. It looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. We were down south in Alabama, Bill Driscoll and myself. So his partner's name is Bill Driscoll. Bill Driscoll and myself, when this kidnapping idea struck us. So as they were down south in Alabama, Bill Driscoll and his partner, idea of kidnapping struck them. There was a town there as flat as a pancake called Summit. Bill and I had about $600. We needed just $2,000 more for an illegal land deal in Illinois. Right from the first paragraph, we can see that they are a bit dodgy. They appear a little dodgy. So they say that Bill said that they had about $600. They wanted to buy a land. They had about 600, but they needed $2,000 more. That too for this illegal land deal, a land which is illegal. They cannot get a legal land. So looking at it, they appear quite dodgy, and they don't appear like people who will do things in a legal manner. So remember, they had only $600 and they needed just 2,000, which is also again just 2,000, which is a little again funny. We chose for our victim the only child of an influential citizen named Ebenezer Dorset. So the name of the father is Ebenezer Dorset. The boy was just 10 years old with red hair. Bill and Sam thought that Ebenezer would pay a ransom of $2,000 to get his boy back. But wait till I tell you. So here, very interesting. Bill and I thought that Ebenezer will pay a ransom of $2,000 to get his boy back. But wait till I tell you. So there is this twist. It is not sounding good at all. Wait till I tell you. So we thought, Sam is the one speaking here. Bill and I thought that the boy's father will pay us $2,000 as a ransom. But wait till I tell you. So there's this twist. Wait. But wait till I tell you. So let's go on. About 2 miles from Summit was a little mountain covered with cedar trees. There was a cave on the back of the mountain. There we stored our supplies. So about 2 miles from Summit, there was a little mountain, and that is the place where they camped. One evening after sundown, we drove a horse and carriage past old Dorset's house. The kid was in the street, throwing rocks at a cat on the opposite fence. So they hired this horse, a carriage, past old Dorset house. The kid was in the street. And look at the first impression of the kid. He was throwing rocks at a cat on the opposite fence. That was the first thing they saw. The action of the boy, Johnny. His name is Johnny. "Hey little boy," says Bill, "would you like to have a bag of candy and a nice ride?" Bill shouted, "Hey little boy, would you like to have a little bag of candy and a nice ride?" The boy catches Bill neatly in the eye with a piece of brick. So here, Bill is also thrown a stone with a piece of brick, maybe a broken pieces of brick, and he caught the eye of Bill, straight in the eye. "That'll cost the old man an extra $500, says Bill, climbing over the wheel. "So we won $2,000, but you hitting me on my eye, that'll cost another $500, says Bill, shouting and climbing over the wheel. That boy put up a fight like a wild animal. So they caught the boy. The boy put up a fight like a wild animal, not at all ready to, submit. Not at all scared. We got him down in the bottom of the carriage and we drove away. So they've got the boy. The boy put up a brave fight, but he was not able to overcome two men, Sam and Bill. So Ebenezer Dorset's son is now kidnapped by Bill and Sam. We took him up to the cave, leaving Bill and the boy there. I drove the horse and carriage back to the little village 3 miles away where we had hired it, and walked back to the mountain. That's it is. On my return, I saw the boy had 2 large bird feathers stuck in his hair. He points a stick at me and says, "Ha! Paleface! Do you dare to enter the camp of Red Chief, the terror of the plains?" So here, Sam left behind Bill to look after the boy, so that the boy will not escape. And he went there and, gave the carriage back and all this stuff. And when he returned, he was stopped by this boy, Paleface. If you look at the meaning of Paleface, a white person. It is used in fictional representation of the spirits of Native Americans. "Do you dare enter the camp of Red Chief?" That was the command given by the boy. "How dare you try to enter the camp of Red Chief?" That is what the boy is trying to say. "It's all right now," says Bill, rolling up his trousers and examining some wounds on his leg. So here, something is going on, and we can see that Bill has been hurt, and I'm sure he must have been hurt by the boy. We're playing Indian. There it is. I'm old Hank the Trapper, Red Chief's captive, and I'm going to be scalped at daybreak by Geronimo. That kid can kick hard. So Bill is not at all happy. He's been hurt by the boy. It's alright. We were playing games and I am old Hank the Trapper, the captive of Red Chief. So Johnny the boy is the Red Chief. And my goodness, he can kick real hard by Geronimo. Yes, sir. The boy seemed to be having the time of his life. The fun of climbing out in the cave had made him forget that he was a captive himself. He immediately christened me Snake Eye, the spy, and announced that when his braves returned from the warpath, I was to be broiled at the stake at the rising of the sun. So here we can see what is happening. The boy has been kidnapped, but the boy is actually not at all ready to go home. He is having the time of his life. He doesn't want to go home. Then we had supper and he filled his blood. Then we had supper and he filled his mouth full of bacon and bread and gravy and began to talk. He made a during dinner speech something like this. The boy's having the time of his life. He doesn't want to go home. He's climbing, he's living in a cave and all this, so much fun. It is an adventure. And the boy has no idea that he has been kidnapped. He made the speech. I like this fine. I never camped out before, but I had a pet possum once, and I was 9 last birthday. I had to go to school. Rats ate up 16 of Jimmy Talbot's aunts' speckled hen's eggs. Are there any real Indians in these woods? I want some more gravy. Does the trees moving make the wind blow? We had 5 puppies. What makes your nose so red? Hank, my father has lots of money. Are the stars hot? I whipped at Walker twice Saturday. I don't like girls. Yeah, decent cats taught unless with a string. Do oxen make any noise? Why are oranges round? Have you got beds to sleep on in this cave? Amos Murray has got 6 toes. A parrot can talk, but a monkey and a fish can't. How many toes does it take to make 12? So this is the boy. Man, he can talk. So if you look at it, it's kind of like a, how shall I put it? An irritating boy or an irritating child. Kind of like when we visit any new places or when we are at someone's place. You know, these days kids are so smart at creeping up on you and then asking for your phones and then, do you have games? What game is this? What is this game? Is this part of a game? Oh no, please install this game. I need to install these games. I want to play these games. Let's play these games together and all this blah 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 blah. So here the boy is talking so much without making any sense. Every few minutes you'll remember that he was a pesky redskin and picked up his stick rifle and tiptoed to the mouth of the cave to rubber for the scouts of the hated paleface. Red Chief, says I to the boy, would you like to go home? So here, Sam asked him, Red Chief, would you like to go home? Oh, what for? Says he. I don't have any fun at home. I hate to go to school. I like to camp out. You won't take me home again, will you? The boy is kidnapped. In any kidnapping story, the boy or any person who is kidnapped will be so scared. And he will be begging. He or she will be begging to go home. I'm sure you must have watched films of kidnapping, or I'm sure you you must have also read this conventional kidnapping stories, but here the boy is worried that he will be sent home. Are you trying to send me home? No, please don't send me home. I want to be here. Camping is so much fun. I'm having so much fun. I don't want to go home. I don't want to go to school. Please don't take me away. You're not taking me away, right? Not right away, says I. We'll stay here in the cave a while. Alright, that'll be fine. I never had such fun in all my life. So looking at it, the boy is having the time of his life. We went to bed about 11 o'clock. Just at daybreak, I was awakened by a series of terrible screams. So Bill, at terrible screams from Bill. They weren't yells or howls or shouts or whoops or yelps, such as you'd expect from a manly set of vocal organs. They were simply indecent, terrifying, humiliating screams such as women emit when they see ghosts or caterpillars. It's an awful thing to hear a strong, desperate fat man scream incontinently in a cave at daybreak. So they woke up, and Bill was woken up by this loud screaming. It was Bill who was screaming so desperately, like so frightened. Not just this, not actual scream, but something more than that. And it was horrifying to see this, a fat man screaming at daybreak in a cave. So you can imagine the sound he'll be making. Remember, Bill is a fat man. I jumped up to see what the matter was. Red Chief was sitting on Bill's chest. So remember, Red Chief is the boy, Johnny. Do not forget that. So Red Chief, Johnny, was sitting on Bill's chest with one hand holding Bill's hair. In the other, he had a sharp knife. He was attempting to take Bill's scalp according to the sentence that had been pronounced upon him the evening before. Earlier in the story, we heard about the boy saying that he will take Bill's scalp the next day. That was sentence, and that's exactly what the boy is trying to do here. He was attempting to take Bill's scalp according to the sentence that had been pronounced upon him the evening before. I got the knife away from the boy, but from that moment Bill's spirit was shaken, completely broken. So from that moment onwards, Bill was not at all in the mood. He was shaken, absolutely broken. He was not his usual self anymore. He lay down on his side of the bed, but he never closed an eye again in sleep as long as that boy was with us. So this is a man, a fat man, Bill, who is now so terrified. He cannot even sleep as long as the boy is wide awake. I dozed off for a while, but along towards sun up, I remembered that Red Chief had said I was to be burned at the stake at the rising of the sun. I wasn't nervous or afraid, but I sat up and lit my pipe, and I leaned against a rock. So here, Sam is also aware about what the boy said. The boy said that he will also be burned at the stake at the rising of the sun. So here, Sam says that he is not afraid or he is not scared, but we can see there's a little bit of fear which has crept inside him, and he lit up his pipe and leaned against a rock just to make sure that everything is all right. What you getting up so soon for, Sam? Asked Bill. Me? Says I. Oh, I got a kind of a pain in my shoulder. I thought sitting up would rest it. So Sam has say that he's not scared or he's not afraid, but here is a man who is scared. He's scared of the boy, and that's exactly why he has, he's wide awake and his back leaned against the rock. You are a liar, says Bill. You are afraid. Exactly. You was to be burned at sunrise, and you was afraid he'll do it, and he'll do. If you could find a match, ain't it awful, Sam? Do you think anybody will pay out money to get a little imp like that back home? Bill asked. So here, Bill, don't lie. You are scared. You are such a bloody liar. You are afraid. Again, you can see his English. You was afraid. Here, Bill brings up this very important point, and that is, he asks Sam, do you think anybody will pay out money to get a little imp, a little mischievous child like that back home? So here, very pertinent, very important. It makes a lot of sense in what Bill has just said, because why will anybody pay so much money to get this mischievous imp back, to get this mischievous boy back? Sure, says I. A rowdy, noisy, badly behaved kid like that is just the kind that parents dote on. Now, you and the chief get up and cook breakfast while I go up on the top of this mountain and look around. Sam is not ready to give up yet. He still has some optimism left, in the sense that he thinks that he can get some money. I went up on the peak of the little mountain over towards summit. I expected to see the men of the village searching the countryside for the missing boy, but all was peaceful. So everything was so peaceful. No one was even bothering. Perhaps, says I to myself, it has not yet been discovered that the wolves have borne away the tender lambkin from the fold. Heaven help the wolves, and I went down the mountain to breakfast. Everything was silent. Everything was so peaceful. The village was peaceful. There was nothing unusual. There was nothing strange. Everything was just as normal. When I got to the cave, I found Bill backed up against the side of it. He was breathing hard, with the boys threatening to strike him with a rock. So again, we have another problem. The boy is trying to hit Bill with a rock. Here, he put a red hot potato down my back, explains Bill, and then crushed it with his foot. I boxed his ears. Have you got a gun with you, Sam? This is Bill. He's fed up. He's done. He is so done with this boy. I took the rock away from the boy and ended the argument. I'll fix you, says the boy to Bill. No man ever yet struck the Red Chief, but what he got paid for it. You better beware. The boy is not over yet. You'll get something. No one hits Red Chief. You'll pay what you have done. You won't be set free. That's what the boy has warned again. After breakfast, the boy takes a piece of leather with strings wrapped around it out of his pocket and goes outside the cave, unwinding it. What's he up to now? Says Bill anxiously. You don't think he'll run away, do you? No fear of it. He don't seem to be much of a homebody, but we've got to fix up some plan about the ransom. Sam is also a bit skeptical now. He's not so sure about the ransom anymore, in the sense that he's not so sure whether the boy's father will pay 2,000 rupees. So they wrote a letter for the boy's father, and the letter read, We have your boy hidden in a place far from Summit. We demand $1,500 for his return. So 1,500. Earlier they settled for 2,000. That was what they agreed, but now they've got $500 and they've settled for $1,500, 1,500. The money to be left at midnight tonight at the same place and in the same box as your answer, as described below. If you agree to these terms, send your answer in writing by a messenger tonight at 8:30 after crossing Old Creek. On the road to Poplar Cove, there are 3 large trees close to the fence of the wheat field on the right hand side. At the bottom of the fence post, opposite the third tree, will be found a small pasteboard box. The messenger will place the answer in this box and return immediately to Summit. If you fail to agree to our demand, you will never see your boy again. If you paid the money as demanded, he will be returned to you safe and well within 3 hours. And how did they sign off? They sign off with the caption, "Two desperate men." I took the letter and walked over to Poplar Cave. And what was the reply? The reply from the boy's father was this: "Gentlemen, I received your letter regarding the ransom you ask for the return of my son. I think you are a little high in your demands. I hereby make you a counter proposal, which I believe you will accept." So let's see the counter proposal, what the boy's father, Ebenezer Dorset, has proposed. "You bring Johnny home and pay me $250 in cash, and I agree to take him off your hands. You had better come at night, because the neighbors believed he is lost, and I could not be responsible for what they will do to anybody they saw bringing him back." So here, this is so funny because the boy's father is not at all worried. Instead, the boy's father is so calm. He's so peaceful, so relaxed. Unlike those conventional, typical kidnapping stories. So he made a counter proposal very calmly. "What you've demanded, $1,500, that's too much. So I want to make a counter proposal which I think you will readily accept it. So you give me $250 in cash, and I will take the boy back. You better come at night, because the neighbors are so happy that the boy is no more. The mischievous boy is not in the neighborhood, and the neighbors are really happy, and I don't want to take any responsibility if they are so disheartened to see him back." So very, very respectfully, Ebenezer Dorset. "Oh my goodness, great pirates of Panjin," says I, "of all the nerve." So Sam is awestruck, he's bewildered, flabbergasted. What is going on? So here, Sam is so shocked, angered, and annoyed, kind of like an animal. But as he looked at Bill, he had the most appealing look in his eyes that Bill I ever saw on the face of a dumb or a talking brute. Sam is terrified, is shocked, looking at the counter proposal, but looking at Bill, he had the most appealing look, kind of like, "Sam, this is the best proposal we will ever get. Give the boy's father the money and we will be at peace. We will never get this kind of proposal again. So that is it. That's what Bill is trying to say here. Sam, what's $250? ये क्या है? What will we even do with $250? After all, we've got the money. One more night with this boy will drive me crazy. I cannot go on with this boy. I think Mr. Dorset is making us a good offer. You aren't going to let the chance go, are you? Tell you the truth, Bill, says I. This little lamb has got on my nerves too. We'll take him home, pay the ransom, and make our getaway. So here it is. Instead of them getting the money, they have to give the boy's father the money, $250, to be released from the boy they have just kidnapped. So it is totally opposite, totally overthrown. This whole conventional or typical kidnapping story is overthrown. It's off the track. And they've agreed to pay the ransom, $250, so that they'll be safe away from the boy. We took him home that night. We got him to go by telling him that his father had bought him a gun and we were going to hunt bears the next day. Johnny, let's go home. We'll get back to your house. We'll get the gun, your gun, and next day we will go hunting. We will go hunting for bears. Aren't you interested? Shall we do it? The boy's excited. So with that, they were able to tempt the boy to go back home. Because remember, the boy is not at all willing to go home. He's having the time of his life and he just doesn't want to leave this cave. It was just 12 o'clock when we knocked at Ebenezer Dorset's front door. Bill counted out $250 into Dorset's hand. When the kid learned we were planning to leave him at home, he started to howl and clung tightly to Bill's leg. His father pulled him away slowly. So here is a boy who is, clinging tightly to Bill's leg, not at all wanting to go. Please, don't leave me alone. I want to go back with you. The boy's father slowly pulled him away. How long can you hold him? I am not as strong as I used to be, says old Dorset, but I think I can promise you 10 minutes. Enough, says Bill. In 10 minutes I shall cross the central, southern and middle western states and be running for the Canadian border. And as dark as it was, and as fat as Bill was, and as good a runner as I am, he was a good mile and a half out of Summit before I could catch up with him. Here is a man. Remember, Bill is so scared, so frightened, but this man has run away before Sam, who he considers himself as a good runner, could not catch Bill, because Bill is so frightened. Bill is so done with this boy and he wants to be off from this boy.